in the vast bureaucracy of the Galactic Classification Department, tucked away in the most boring corner of the most unremarkable space station orbiting the least interesting star in the Andromeda Galaxy, sat Zorb. Like all junior classification officers, Zorb had 6 tentacles, 3 eyes, and absolutely zero aspirations of ever doing anything exciting with their life. That was, after all, why they had chosen planetary classification as a career. Another gas giant. Another day, Zorb muttered, stamping the holographic file with a bored flick of their tentacle. Class J4, uninhabitable gas formation with pretty rings but otherwise completely useless. The classification department's entire purpose was simple: catalogue every planet in the known universe, determine if it contained anything worth mining, eating, or colonizing, cut and move on. In the 300 years Zorb had been working there, a mere adolescents in their species' lifespan, they'd personally classified over 10,000 planets. Exactly 0 had contained anything interesting. Commander Vex floated by, a superior gelatinous fawn pulsing with the smug authority that came with being a senior classification officer. Productivity seems low today, Junior Officer Zorb. Just finished the Rigel 7 system, Commander. 9 planets, all boring. Good. Boring is safe. Remember what happened to the Xanthar exploratory team when they found that planet of carnivores? X's central eye narrowed dramatically. Eaten. All of them. That's why we classify first, visit later. The Galactic Union had developed a healthy fear of predator species after several unfortunate incidents early in their exploration history. Their civilization, comprised entirely of peaceful herbivores, filter feeders, and photosynthesizers, had a strict non-contact policy with any world containing carnivorous species, especially apex predators. Zorb was about to ask for their next assignment when the system pinged. A red holographic file materialized on their desk, marked with the ominous reassignment tag. "What's this?" Zorb asked, tentacles recoiling slightly at the glowing file. Vex made a sound approximating a sigh, and at E3. Third rock from a yellow star in the unfashionable western spiral arm of the Milky Way. It's been reassigned 17 times in the past century. Why? No one can decide how to classify it. The initial scans are perplexing. Zorb flipped through the preliminary data, and their 3 eyes widened simultaneously. This can't be right. Then, that's what everyone says. Then they asked to be reassigned. Vex pulsed smugly. "It's all yours now, Junior Officer." 3 days later, Zorb's office resembled what humans would call a conspiracy theorist's basement. Holographic images of Earth's various ecosystems floated everywhere. Notes, scribbled in bioluminescent ink, covered every surface. In the center of it all sat Zorb, all 6 tentacles twitching nervously as they tried to make sense of the planet called Earth. "It's impossible," Zorb muttered for the 47th time that day. "The ecological pyramid is all wrong." The Commander Vex drifted into the chaos and her form rippled with alarm. "I see you're making progress." Zorb pointed a trembling tentacle at a hologram of a food chain. "A set. Look at this. These creatures humans, they're at the top of the food chain on a planet absolutely teeming with predators. That's not unusual. Every ecosystem has apex predators. But there are thousands of different apex predators on this planet. There are these giant swimming predators in the oceans, massive running predators on the plains, flying predators in the air. And somehow these squishy bipeds with no natural weapons have become the apex of apex predators." Vex's central eye squinted at the images. "Sith, Mukya, Frain, Tismai, what? Perhaps they evolved extreme intelligence to compensate." "That's what I thought too." Zorb flailed their tentacles in frustration. "But look at these images from our long-range scans. They appear to be keeping other predators as companions. This one has a domesticated carnivore in its dwelling. They call it a cat." The Commander Vex drifted closer to the hologram, her translucent form paling slightly. "That's concerning. And that's not even the worst part. They appear to have enormous predators that they've selectively bred to be loyal to them. They call them dogs. They take these predators into their sleeping quarters. X's gelatinous fawn quivered with disbelief. The preliminary reports can't be accurate. We need verification. I've cross-referenced everything 17 times. There's only one solution. Zorb took a deep breath. We need to send a reconnaissance team. Bex pulsed with alarm. To a predator planet? Are you insane? We need first-hand confirmation before we can properly classify E3. The Galactic Council demands it. After hours of debate and several dramatic threats of resignation, Commander Vex reluctantly approved the mission. The smallest possible team would be sent, Zorb, as the officer in charge of the classification, Dr. Quibblon, the department's xenobiologist, and technician Plork, who drew the short tentacle at the staff meeting. Remember, Vex warned as the team prepared to depart, strict observation only. Do not engage with any native species, especially the humans. If they've somehow managed to dominate a planet full of predators, imagine what they'd do to us. The reconnaissance ship arrived in Earth's orbit under the cover of darkness and sophisticated cloaking technology. The three alien team huddled around the viewscreen, staring down at the blue-green planet with a mixture of scientific curiosity and existential dread. Scanning for a safe landing location, Technician Plork announced, their tentacles dancing across the control panel. Seeking area with minimal predator activity. Dr. Quibblon adjusted her specialized sensory apparatus. According to these readings, there are predator species on every continent, in every ocean, and even in the air. There's nowhere completely safe. Try that area. Zorb pointed to a suburban neighborhood in Middle America. The concentration of humans is moderate, and the larger predators seem less prevalent. The ship descended silently, landing in a wooded area behind a row of houses. Disguised as an ordinary garden shed, it would hopefully go unnoticed by the native species. Atmospheric composition suitable for our breathing apparatus, Plork confirmed, though there are alarming levels of microorganisms everywhere. Those are probably the humans' defensive bioweapons, Quibblon hypothesized wildly. Stay in your containment suits at all times. Their first excursion was meant to be a quick scan of the immediate area. It became a series of escalating horrors. What is that? Shrieked Plork as a squirrel darted across their path. Some kind of furry predator, Quibblon whispered, frantically consulting her database. Look at those sharp incisors. Clearly designed for ripping flesh. The squirrel stopped, twitched its tail, and began nibbling on an acorn. It's eating plant matter. Zorb's confusion was palpable. At deceptive behavior, Quibblon insisted. It's trying to lure us into a false sense of security. Things only got worse when they encountered a golden retriever being walked by its owner. Right from the alien's hiding spot behind a hedge, all they saw was a human casually strolling alongside a wolf-like predator. The human has some kind of control over that beast. Plork's voice rose 2 octaves. Look how it obeys commands. Are they communicating telepathically? Quibblon wondered as the human said sit and the dog complied. Even more disturbing, Zorb observed. The human is collecting the predator's fecal matter in a small containment bag, possibly for biochemical research. The final straw came when they observed a backyard barbecue. Right from their limited vantage point, all they could determine was that humans were gathered around fire, cooking flesh, and then consuming it with obvious pleasure. They're eating other animals. Zorb's voice was barely audible. They're not just apex predators controlling other predators, they're predators themselves. As they hastily retreated to their ship, the terrible truth began to form in their minds. The classification of Planet E3 would be unlike any other in galactic history. For the next Earth week, the alien team conducted increasingly paranoid surveillance of human activities. Each new discovery sent them spiraling further into disbelief. Day 3 of observation, Zorb dictated into the official record. We've confirmed that humans keep predator species called cats and dogs in their dwellings, often allowing these carnivores to sleep in the same room as their young. The disregard for safety is incomprehensible. Dr. Quibblon burst into the ship, tentacles flailing in agitation. You won't believe what I just witnessed. A human child was riding on the back of an enormous herbivore. They call it a horse, and it could easily crush the young human, yet it was completely docile. That's nothing, Plork chimed in. I just observed humans in a place called a zoo. They've created enclosures where they keep apex predators from around the planet for entertainment. They take their offspring to observe ferocious beasts as a leisure activity. The reports back to headquarters grew increasingly hysterical. The humans have domesticated wolves into various breeds that they use for everything from protection to emotional support, Zorb reported during a particularly frantic transmission. They've turned one of the planet's most efficient killing machines into what they call a good boy. We've observed humans swimming with marine predators called dolphins for recreation, Dr. Quibblon added, her scientific detachment completely abandoned. And some humans keep constrictors called snakes wrapped around their necks as decoration. Commander Vex's holographic form pulsed with disbelief. This defies all known ecological principles. How is this possible? It gets worse, Plork interrupted. They have special humans called lion tamers who command the respect of feline predators 6 times their size, and others called dog whisperers who can control entire packs of canine predators using only subtle body language. The most disturbing discovery came when they observed a nature documentary playing on someone's television through a window. They've documented their domination of other species and watch it for entertainment, Zorb reported numbly. There was footage of a human approaching a massive land predator called a bear that could easily tear them apart, and the human was narrating the experience calmly for their audience. This is beyond classification, Vex admitted. We need to convene an emergency council meeting. The Galactic Classification Council had never held an emergency session in its 50,000-year history. The council chamber, designed to hold over 200 representatives from across the galaxy, had gathered dust for millennia while classifications were routinely processed through normal bureaucratic channels. Today, however, every seat was filled as Zorb presented their findings on planet E3. In conclusion, Zorb said, after a 3-hour presentation that had left many council members needing sedation, humans are a species that defies our classification system. They are omnivores who have evolved to become the ultimate apex predator on a planet full of apex predators. They don't just avoid being eaten, they domesticate predators, they eat predators, they wear predators as clothing, and they display predators as trophies. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Impossible, shouted Councillor Bleem. A photosynthesizing plant-like being. No species can dominate apex predators. It violates the natural order. The evidence is irrefutable, countered Dr. Quibblon. We have over 700 hours of observation data. Perhaps, suggested Councillor Zorb, a floating gas bag who represented the filter-feeding contingent, but we should classify Earth as planet of contradictions and quarantine it indefinitely. But the humans are developing space travel technology, Plork pointed out. Within a century, they could be venturing beyond their solar system. We need a classification that warns future explorers. The debate raged for days. Some council members argued for immediate non-contact protocols. Others suggested studying humans from afar to learn their predator-controlling secrets. A small but vocal minority proposed preemptive measures to ensure humans never left their planet. We can't destroy an entire species just because they terrify us, Zorb argued passionately. They haven't shown aggression toward other sentient beings, yet, only because they haven't met any. Councillor Bleem countered, they domesticate every predator they encounter. The final classification required the creation of an entirely new category in the galactic database. After much deliberation, the Council voted to designate Earth as Class X1, the planet where apex predators have apex predators. Additional warnings were attached to the file. Approach with extreme caution. Potential for unprecedented interspecies diplomacy complications. Risk of being kept as pet, high. As the reconnaissance team prepared to leave Earth and return to headquarters, they conducted one final observation session. Stationed on a hill overlooking a suburban neighborhood, they watched humans going about their daily lives. It's decided then, Zorb said with finality. Earth will remain classified as X1, and the Galactic Union will maintain strict non-contact protocols until further notice. I still don't understand how they do it, Dr. Quibblon mused, watching a woman walking 3 large dogs simultaneously. How did such fragile creatures come to dominate so many predator species? Perhaps it's their unpredictability, Plork suggested. They seem capable of both extreme violence and extreme compassion. What could be more terrifying than a creature you can't anticipate? As they turned to head back to their ship, Zorb froze. A small human child was standing directly in their path, staring at them with wide eyes. "Hello," said the child simply. "Are you aliens?" The 3 reconnaissance team members stood paralyzed with fear. Their cloaking devices had malfunctioned, their cover was blown, and first contact, which they had been explicitly ordered to avoid, had just occurred with a juvenile human. "We come in peace," Zorb managed to say, using the Earth phrase they'd heard in intercepted television broadcasts. The child smiled. "Cool. Do you want to meet my dog? His name is Rex. He's really friendly." Before the aliens could respond, a massive canine came bounding over the hill. The aliens huddled together in terror as the beast approached, certain their final moments had arrived. Instead, the dog sat obediently beside the child, tongue lolling happily from its mouth. "He won't hurt you," the child assured them. "He's trained. Do you want to pet him?" In that moment, Zorb understood exactly why Earth needed its unique classification. These humans didn't just control predators, they formed emotional bonds with them. They saw potential for friendship in the most terrifying creatures. "We must return to our ship now," Zorb said carefully. "Please do not tell anyone you saw us. Will you come back tomorrow?" The child asked hopefully. "I could show you my ant farm and my sister's snake." As the aliens hastily retreated to their ship and blasted off into space, Zorb made one final entry in the official classification record. Addendum to Planet E3 classification, most terrifying of all, the humans don't want to eat us, fight us, or flee from us. They want to befriend us, study us, and possibly keep us as pets. May the cosmos help us all if they ever master interstellar travel. Back on Earth, the child watched the strange garden shed lift off into the night sky. "Mom," the child called out, running back home. "I just met some aliens. They were scared of Rex." "That's nice, dear," the mother responded, not looking up from her phone. "Tell me all about it while I finish posting these cute pictures of our cat attacking the vacuum cleaner." And somewhere in deep space, a message was being broadcast to all corners of the Galactic Union. "Beware of Earth. The planet where apex predators have apex predators, and they want to make friends with you too.